Hello, gang. This is Ed Thorgerson with some dope on champs. How they act, what they are, and what makes them tick. From John L. on down, a champion's first question is, who's that knocking at my door? That challenging knock means box office, for one thing. To any true champion, it also means opportunity, because it takes two guys to make a fight, and it takes two fighters to make a champion. When 50,000 fans are holding their breath, the score tied, a man is on the spot. Maybe he's good, but can he come through? Let's have it. Here it comes, and there's the hit. Here comes that winning run from third, and the old ball game is sewed up. That's the way a champ behaves. He's there when the heat's on. He has a punch when he needs it most. Now, 100,000 fans on their toes. He's going to pass. He's fading back. Back. It's in the air. It's complete. And he's away. He's in the clear. He's going to a touchdown. Listen to those fans. What a pass. That's real all-American stuff. Those boys certainly have what it takes when the going gets tough. Everybody likes to see a great athlete or a great team in action, and everybody knows that stiff competition makes winners, brings out the best in every man. And you can bet your hat that a champ breaks records only when the competition is tough, when it's hard to go, hard to get. Yes, sir, there's no denying. Strong competition makes strong champions. Here's a young fellow you're all going to hear about, destined to go far. Looks good here in the gym. All he needs is the opportunity to show what he can do against competition. This is Crisco getting started way back in 1912. And you see this man running? This is Crisco too, running alone. Crisco makes some good headway. There isn't any other quality all-vegetable shortening to set the pace or to press Crisco on the turns. So Crisco keeps bouncing along for 23 years, getting better and better. It looked as if it was goal to go, and the goal was made. You can't go any higher than the ceiling. But wait a minute. Crisco seemed to be going all right, thought we'd covered all the bases, but there was still lots of outfield left. That was the total shortening market. Yes, up to 1936, Crisco was drawing the crowd, but it was playing in a small stadium. It seemed to be getting just about everybody who wanted a quality all-vegetable shortening, but there were lots of other folks it wasn't getting. Then Spry appears. There's no use kidding ourselves. This new competition was tough, hard-hitting, hard-driving. Yes, sir, this competitor was in there at the kickoff with plenty of fight and power, with a good product, strong advertising, couponing, merchandising, and selling. All right, and what happened to Crisco when it felt the real competition? Did it fold up under the pressure, or did it behave like a champ, give out with more speed, more zip? Right the first time. The presence of real competition was like a spur to Crisco. Crisco turned on the heat, threw more punches, and hit harder. The challenge was good, but Crisco was better than ever. Sales in 1936, when real competition came in, were the highest Crisco had had. Crisco's national sales in 1937 were better than 1936, another new high. And in 1938, with almost 3 successive years of hard driving competition, Crisco lifted its sales again, the best Crisco year ever. That, gentlemen, is what you call behaving like a champ, getting better than ever when the race gets tough. But Crisco didn't stop then. Even with Crisco sales driving ahead, Crisco, like a champ, wasn't satisfied. How about 1939, we asked the champ. In 1939, said he, I'm really going to show him what a champ can do. Stick around and I'll show you. So, Crisco investigators went out across America making surveys, 145 of them, in 101 different places. Into big towns and small ones, into the city, into the country, into big houses and little houses went Crisco representatives, asking thousands and thousands of women.
What improvement do you want most in a shortening you use for baking? What improvement do you want most in a cooking fat you use for frying? What improvement do you want most in a shortening you use for pies?
Back to Cincinnati came these thousands and thousands of reports to be analyzed. Scientists and manufacturing experts went into a huddle. They wanted to see how the American woman's prescription for an ideal shortening could be filled, how an even better Crisco could be developed. And while the old Crisco was smashing sales record after record, months and months were being spent trying to develop a newer, better Crisco. And then one day, a discovery, gyro churning. A new and finer Crisco would be made by a new and different manufacturing process. And bingo! Crisco laid $1 million on the line for new machinery, new equipment, to make this new Crisco through the new gyro churn process. This new gyro churning is complicated and secret, but in simple terms, it beats Crisco, it whips Crisco, and churns Crisco. The gyro churns are something like great ice cream freezers, moving at incredible speeds, chilling and beating the product until the very fat structure of the new Crisco has been changed and its texture made marvelously smooth and more velvety. And you get a new gyro churn Crisco, a new creamier than ever, better than ever Crisco. A creamier Crisco that mixes 25% faster than before. But that's not all. The scientists developed another new process called air-free packing. This new process pumps every bit of air out of every tank, every pipe, every piece of equipment through which Crisco passes from the refined oil to the finished product. From start to finish, not even air is allowed to touch Crisco. Why, believe it or not, even while Crisco is being poured into cans and while the cans are being sealed, no air touches it. Because even these final processes are carried on inside airtight glass compartments. And there you have it, a newer, finer Crisco, made because the champ wasn't satisfied with just being a champ. A new Crisco that fills the prescription thousands of women wrote for their ideal shortening. And what does this mean? Air-free packing means that Crisco is purer than ever before. This purity gives freedom from oxidation. Crisco keeps better than ever, right on the kitchen shelf, always ready for instant mixing, always handy for frying. Air-free packing means purer, more digestible foods. But above all, that new gyro churn process means a creamier Crisco, a better Crisco, a new Crisco. Women everywhere told us they wanted to escape the hard beating, the tired arm, the drudgery of creaming stiff icebox shortening when making a cake. So in 1939, we'll give them a creamier Crisco that takes all the hard creaming out of cake making, makes it easy for women to get delicious, finer textured cakes in less time and with less work. A creamier Crisco that cuts into flour like magic, makes it easy to get a flaky, tender pie crust every time. A better Crisco that gives crisp, tasty fried foods not a bit grease-soaked and as digestible as if baked. A Crisco that fries at the highest temperatures any cookbook may call for, without any smoke, without any smell. So there you have it, a new Crisco, a better Crisco, a creamier Crisco for 1939. And now, what about a new uniform for this new 1939 champion? A new uniform which would stand up and shout to dealers and to consumers that some big things had happened to Crisco. Many members of our own field organization asked us about that one. Well, we asked women about it too. Hundreds of women were asked to choose their favorite wrapper and label design. And one design led all the others by 5 to 1. And here it is, a sky blue label with white stars. A brand new uniform for new Crisco. And you know how women just can't resist a uniform. Display a champion in one, and you've got a sell-on-sight combination that will break records. And, of course, this new uniform goes on that swell new type hinge-top can that's proved so popular. Women tell us they like it because the top can't get lost and the edge is smooth and rounded. So it's new gyro churn Crisco and a new white-starred blue label, ready to go out and show the world. In fact, already out and showing the world, because we've been shipping the new gyro churn Crisco in old labels and new labels long enough so you can be sure all dealers have the new product. But whoa, wait a minute. Somehow or other the news is leaking out already.
I recommend today's Crisco to my patients because of its digestibility.
From all over the country came reports. More and more doctors are hearing about the new Crisco. Medical surveys go out to hundreds of physicians. Back come the answers, and we find that already 2 out of 3 doctors are specifically calling attention to the digestibility of the new Crisco. We asked a few home economics teachers in schools to try the new Crisco. The news got around. In city after city, these experts in cooking and home problems who are teaching youngsters and grown-ups became more and more enthusiastic about this new gyro churn Crisco. And recently, when we asked 753 of these home economics teachers in 439 different cities about Crisco, what do you suppose the answer was? 96% said, we use the new Crisco in our cooking classes. So for 1939, we've got a champion who's already proved himself. But now he has new power, new speed, has a new uniform, and the experts like him. And if we're really going to fill the stadium and get bigger crowds, we've got to let people know about it. And that's just what we're going to do. In 1939, Crisco is going to get more advertising, we think better advertising, certainly more sensational advertising than ever before. The kind of advertising a real champion deserves. Yes, sir, more printed word advertising than in the last 8 years will give punch to this new Crisco, and the biggest women's magazines will carry this Crisco story. Crisco's story for 1939 is told as news. News of a champion's performance backed up by fact, full of the enthusiasm the crowd always gives a champion. The headline starts Crisco off as new, creamier, and carries a sensational promise of faster mixing. Immediately, the subhead tells the reader why, backs up the promise with a fact, the amazing new gyro churn process, and then the results, more appetizing foods that folks rave about. Then, Crisco users cut loose in their enthusiasm for the cooking results they have experienced. After all, what is important to women is not only what we say about the product, but what users say about the product. And to clinch the argument, we point out what doctors are saying about new Crisco's digestibility. And attention is called to the outstanding acceptance of new Crisco by cooking teachers. Women have confidence in doctors and cooking experts because they know these specialists know what they're talking about. The doctor and cooking expert endorsements add that final note of impartial authority which really clinches sales. And recipes. The reading and attention of even the best food advertisement is strengthened many times by recipes showing appetizing foods easy to prepare. And here they are, but not just recipes. These are Sade's own favorites. And these recipes tie right in with the text, establishing that new Crisco is better than ever for cakes, for pies, and for fried foods too. In 1939, Crisco's printed word story will be one of news, excitement, enthusiasm, with evidence to back up its claims. And big newspaper campaigns will reinforce special Crisco markets. Just as Crisco coupons were distributed to millions of homes in 1938, Crisco will continue extensive field work in 1939 in many great markets. Under a special home economics plan, Crisco will mail out more than 500,000 booklets to thousands of schools and home economics teachers. These booklets are for use in the classroom and carry a message of the new Crisco. You all remember the cheers that went up for the copper skillet offer in 1936, the silver anniversary contest in 1937, and the Westinghouse roaster contest in 1938. They were good, but wait until this spring, 1939. A contest miles ahead of anything in the record books. And more radio than ever before. A giant aerial attack, Vic and Sade on 66 stations. 2 major NBC networks, the red and the blue, twice a day in many parts of the United States. On this program and on the others, you'll hear the new story of the new Crisco.
You know how creamy Crisco has always been. Well, the new Crisco is creamier. You know how quick and easy to mix Crisco has always been. The new Crisco is even faster mixing, easier to use. With this new gyro churn process, Crisco is beaten, Crisco is whipped, Crisco is creamed so it mixes faster than ever. So change now to the new creamy Crisco.
And Crisco spot announcements like these will be made between other important Procter Gamble daytime programs to huge ready-made audiences coast to coast from scores of stations at different times of the day.
For wonderful new success in cooking fluffy cakes, flaky pie crust and biscuits, and crisp digestible fried foods, try the new gyro churned Crisco. The Crisco that's now creamier than you can imagine. Just ask for Crisco at your dealers today.
And in certain areas, Crisco announcements will come in between popular nighttime programs. And your friend Jimmy Fiddler's program will carry announcements on Tuesday and Friday nights about new Crisco for you, and we do mean you. And in addition, a new Crisco radio program, Adventure Against a Background of War-Torn China. This Day Is Ours will go out from more than a score of stations. Talk about radio advertising, there you have it. Day after day, night after night, at different times on many different programs, messages about the new gyro churn Crisco will pour from all 3 major networks and every important radio station in the land. It's a natural. That's the new advertising that will bring new cheers for the new Crisco in 1939. So you see, Crisco can say thank you to its rivals. Crisco competition has given it an extra drive, extra zip the last 3 years. And during those years, Crisco, like any champion, has been training, practicing, building up for its greatest performance of all in 1939. And from now on, there's no telling how far, how high this new Crisco can go. Because you've got a real champ and real competition, and that's a combination that can't be beaten.